Hey, it's my pleasure to introduce Heather Watson. Some of you will remember that she was a part of the health disparities panel that we had a couple of weeks ago. So we're so pleased to have her back here. I'll tell you just a little bit about her. She's actually from Rivers Edge Hospital, right on Roosevelt Road, not United Healthcare. I don't know how that got in our um, announcement today. And I'm just going to say this, with over a decade of experience, Heather's journey is not just a career, it's a calling. And we just said a couple things about that, just chit-chatting. She has a bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, a Master of Social Work from Loyola University of Chicago, at specializing in children and families and nonprofit management, and she is working her doctorate degree from Loyola. So help me welcome Heather.
Thank you, Pilgrim, again for having me. It's such an honor to be back. Um, so the topic of today is going to be self-care, right? Let me ask you this: how many of you all practice self-care? Okay, and what does that look like for each of you?
Hot baths.
Okay, hot baths, walking. Okay, sleep. Okay, what else? Nature. Okay, what else? Journaling. Okay, anything else?
Good food.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Working out.
Okay, working out, physical. Yes. Anything else?
Pray.
Say it again.
Pray.
Yes.
Friends.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry about that. Okay, and so the title of our workshop today is going to be called to serve, embracing hope during uncertainty. Okay, and so we've already asked, what do we do for self-care? So what are some of the things that uplift you if they're different from your self-care?
My friends.
Okay.
Music.
Yes. Anything else?
Family.
Yes. And then outside of our friends and family, who else gives us strength?
God.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, connections in the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Faith community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we want to discuss the circle of trust. And so when we have a circle of trust, this is by Parker J. Palmer. It's the Center of Courage and Renewal. So we give and receive and welcome. We are to be present as fully as possible. No fixing, saving, advising, or correcting. And we speak our truth in ways that respect other people's truth. And I also want to note, so I passed out handouts earlier before I started. The handouts that you have reflect the PowerPoint that I'm also going over. So if you would like to follow along, you have that to do so. And I love this little quote by Dr. Christina. It says, it's okay to feel happy. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel hopeful. It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel excited. It's okay to feel angry. It is okay to feel. I think a lot of times we have this superwoman, Superman syndrome where we just go, 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 whether we're parents, whether we're spouses, whether we're, taking care of individuals within the community and church, we just go. And we don't necessarily feel. We suppress it because we have other things we have to take care of. And so this is just stating that it is okay to feel. It's okay to feel however you feel, as long as we learn to talk about it. If at any point in time you have a question, comment, concern, please feel free to just shout out, okay? Okay, so what is stress? What is stress? What do we think stress is?
Things to do.
Okay. What else?
Pressure.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Expectations.
Okay. Expectations.
Money.
Money. Okay. Financial stress.
Politics.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Anything else?
Health.
Health. Absolutely. Okay. So I also wanted to acknowledge that stress is normal, right? Stress is every day, stress is every hour, stress is every minute. Um, a small amount of stress can be good, as we know, and it can be motivating us to perform well. However, multiple challenges a day, such as sitting in traffic, meeting deadlines for work and or church, paying bills, this can push us beyond our ability to cope. And so our brain becomes hardwired with an alarm system for our protection, right? So when our brain perceives a threat, it signals our body to release a burst of hormones that increases our heart rate and raises our blood pressure, which leads us to the fight or flight response, which fuels you to deal with the threat in the moment. And then once our threat is gone, we go back to baseline. We go back to normalcy, our sense of normalcy at that time. However, when nonstop stressors happen, our body sometimes never shuts off, which leads us in a state of flight or fight. And so, what happens when our body stays in that sense of fight or flight?
Anxiety.
Okay, anxiety.
Sleeplessness.
Sleeplessness. Anything else?
Adrenaline, cortisol.
Okay. All right, adrenaline. Anything else?
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage, frustration. Anything else? No, those are all great examples. I'm sorry?
Isolation.
Absolutely, isolation. That could also look like depression, right? And so let's then talk about the effects of stress. What are some ways that stress affects us? And that can be our body, our mind, our emotions, our behaviors. What do those look like?
I get irritable.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Irritability, completely normal. Anything else?
Overeat.
Okay, overeating. Okay.
Isolation.
Isolation, absolutely.
Drinking.
Drinking, okay. Yeah. So here are some examples of how stress can manifest. And so within our body, we might get headaches, we might get frequent infections, muscular twitches, fatigue, skin irritations, breathlessness. So maybe we're just out of breath and we just can't explain why. So with our mind, it might be worrying, muddled thinking, impaired judgment. We might have nightmares, indecisions, negativity, hasty decisions, right? For emotions, but there might be a loss of confidence, more fussy, irritability, as someone has already said, depression, apathy, alienation, which we said isolation, and apprehension. And then with our behavior, right? So we might become accident prone. There might be a loss of appetite. There might be a little bit of overeating as well. Maybe a loss of sex drive, drinking a little bit more, as we've already stated, insomnia, restlessness, or smoking more. And so we have another quote by Morgan Harper Nichols: "You are worth the quiet moment. You are worth the deeper breath. You are worth the time it takes to slow down, be still, and rest." So let me ask you this. How many people in this room right now actually take the time to rest? And what does that rest look like?
8 hours or more.
Okay. All right. What else? Say it again? Reading, okay. Thank you for acknowledging that there are different types of rest, right? So there could be sleep, there could be reading. Anyone else?
Keep the TV off.
TV off, okay, so quietness. Okay, we'll take it.
Knitting.
Knitting, yes. Yes, anything else?
Looking at nature.
Yes, absolutely, looking at nature. Okay, and so ways to reduce stress, relax. So we talked about knitting, we talked about nature, we talked about sleeping 8 hours. What are some benefits of relaxing?
It allows you to escape from the stresses, so you can separate yourself
Okay,
from whatever those stresses are.
okay,
Leave them there.
okay,
Go home, do the same. I cried, do work in the garden, not turn on the TV.
okay. So compartmentalizing stress. Is that safe to say, compartmentalizing it? Okay. Anybody else?
When I'm relaxed, I'm more likely to feel joy and awe.
Okay. Okay, yes. Anybody? Yes.
I feel like when I'm relaxed, my creativity comes out more. I'm more
Okay.
creative.
Yeah, anybody else?
Probably more focused.
Yes.
I think of a new way to solve a challenge.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else?
Just more pleasant to be around.
We'll take it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And so the benefits of relaxation techniques. So we are slowing our heart rate, lowering our blood pressure, improving digestion, maintaining normal blood sugar levels, reducing activity of stress hormones, reducing muscle tension and chronic pain. This also improves the concentration and mood, improves our sleep quality, i.e. the 8 hours that we said that we wanted and needed earlier, and reducing anger and frustration, more pleasant to be around. And boosting confidence to handle problems. So we talked about problem solving, right? You're able to tap into that creativity. And so types of relaxation techniques. Has anyone ever heard of autogenic relaxation? Awesome. So autogenic means that something that comes from within, right? So in this relaxation technique, you are both visual imagery and body awareness to reduce the stress. And in a few minutes, we're going to practice some of these together. So I hope you all are ready. You repeat the words or suggestions in your mind that may help you relax and reduce stress and muscle tension. How many of you do affirmations? Okay, this falls into that category, right? So this would, like the daily affirmations, weekly, monthly, however you do them, this will fall into that. And then progressive muscle relaxation. So this relaxation technique, you focus on slowly tensing and then relaxing each muscle, right? So if you tense real tight and then you let it go, or like you take a deep breath in and then you let it go, this is that technique. And again, we'll practice this in about 30 seconds. This can help you focus on the difference between muscle tension and relaxation, and you can become more aware of your physical sensations. And then visualization. So how many people have heard of the, close your eyes, imagine that you're on the beach, you hear the birds, the water, you're visualizing that you are somewhere else outside of where you are? The visualization piece, this is that. So, in this relaxation technique, you may form mental images to take the visual journey to a peaceful, calming place or situation. And then other types of relaxation techniques. So this can include deep breathing. How many people love to go get massages? All right. Massaging, meditation. Do we have any meditators out here? Like to just do you do it in the morning? Okay, morning meditation. Okay, awesome. Yoga. Anybody like to do yoga? Okay. Music and art therapy. We'll get there. Music is a form of therapy. Whenever you listen to it, it helps calm. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Aromatherapy and then hydrotherapy.
I bought an adult coloring book.
Oh,
with
yes.
like gel markers.
Yes.
Use those,
How helpful is that for you?
Good.
Good. We'll take it. And then has anyone ever heard of the 4 B's? No. Okay. So break. So basically we take a break. We stop putting energy into everything. So we stop, we sit down, we relax, we take a break from everything. We put a halt to everything that we're doing. That allows us to reconnect with our inner self, to then decrease the stress that we are in. Breathe. Okay, so we take 3 to 5 seconds, and we're going to practice this now. So we're going to breathe in for 3 seconds. Remember, we're going to exhale for 3 seconds, okay? Let's do that again. We're going to inhale for 3 seconds. Exhale for 3 seconds. Let's do that one more time. We're going to inhale for 3 seconds. Exhale. And our brain. So we have to wake up our brain, but very gently, right? So can we clasp our fingers together? And we're going to gently place our hands over our head. And we're gonna hold this for about 10 seconds. This is supposed to gently wake our nervous system. And yes, you can accompany the breathing with it. Okay, how are we feeling? Quick, shake it off, shake it off. Oh, absolutely, that could be next. And then our body, right? So how many of us give ourselves hugs on a regular? All right, let's do it. This is what we're doing. All right, bring it in, guys, bring it in. And you can apply as much pressure as you need to. This is going to alert the nervous system. All righty, and we're going to go back to breathing. So we're going to do 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. All right, and if at any point in time you need to implement some quick self-care or to calm yourselves, feel free to implement these techniques, okay? Yes.
I have a question about the breathing.
Yeah.
I've heard that breathing through your nose is actually better sometimes, but is it not? Do you know? Does it?
I haven't heard any
Okay.
difference.
There's research that says it, there's also research that says it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you just breathe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, this allows us to, release the tension, refocus, and calm ourselves. Okay. And so, what myths have we heard about self-care?
Doesn't work.
Okay. Even though we know that that's not true.
Don't have time.
Okay. Which also shows, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's selfish.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And so some myths that we have is that self-care is an indulgence. And so we know that that is not the case, right? We know that in order to be able to support the individuals that we love and care about, we have to, have a half full glass, right? Like we can't pour from empty glass if we don't take care of ourselves. Like we want to be great parents, we want to be great friends, great spouses, great choir members, great congregation. We have to pour into ourselves in order to become those individuals. And so, yes, someone already said that self-care is selfish when in fact, it is not. When you make time for yourself and get sufficient rest and exercise, you feel more energetic, right? You're more pleasurable to be around, as we've already stated, and you then make room to support everyone else around you. And then other myths about self-care is it's a one-time experience, when in actuality, it's not, right? Like we implement self-care every day, even when we don't think we have enough time, just taking 30 seconds to practice the 4 Bs, brain, body, breathing, breaks, that is implementing self-care. And self-care is time consuming. We just saw that it could literally take 2 minutes, right? If you're, diligent or intentional about your self-care, it does not take very long. Another great quote. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And that is by Martin Luther King Jr. All right, let's talk about resilience. So in your own words, what does resilience mean to you all?
Bouncing back.
Okay, bouncing back.
You get up even when you fall down.
Okay, get up when you fall down. Anybody else? All right. So resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness, i.e. bouncing back, getting up when you fall down, and the ability to recover readily from illness, depression, adversity, or like so. All right, so here is the video we will be watching. So this is about a 10-minute video. We'll come back and we'll discuss what he's talking about once it's finished, okay?
Stress, mistakes, failure. Clearly, I'm here to give the feel-good talk of the day. I'm actually here to talk about resilience. As a researcher and a clinical psychologist at UCLA, I've been working with NASA on stress and resilience research for over 10 years. The very same NASA that has the expression, failure is not an option, associated with it. Well, I'm here to tell you today that not only is failure an option, it is required to promote resilience. Resilience means you face life stressors and challenges, and you bounce back and recover. And in doing so, you can enrich your life. So whether you work at NASA or your job as a high school student, being resilient means you face stressors, not eliminate them. To be resilient means you learn from your mistakes, not avoid making them. And to be resilient means you rebound from failure. So, any mistakes made during today's presentation is all done in the name of resilience. Do you know what astronauts report is one of the most stressful things they deal with when they're up in space? Power failure, a meteor strike, an explosion, an alien attack? No, it's how their kids and family are doing back on Earth without them. Interestingly, when it comes to stress, we are a lot more like astronauts and other people who work in challenging environments than you might think. Astronauts, while they're up in space, can worry about their relationships, their spouses, and how their kids are doing in school, just like we do. Astronauts can have conflicts with coworkers, just like we do. They get stressed by health and finances. In space, astronauts report that the demands of their job, and at times the monotony of their job, is among the most stressful things they have to deal with. Conflicts with peers, stressful and at other times boring work. Sounds a lot like high school to me. A key aspect of chronic stress is that it can be like relationships, health problems, or work stress, is that if you're not coping well with it, it can be detrimental to your health and well-being. Chronic stress is associated with lower immune functioning. Chronic stress is associated with memory and cardiac problems. Good thing I remember that. The good news is that people manage stress better than others, and they are more resilient. And we can look to them to see what they're doing well. So how do you become more resilient? Well, still working on that answer. But first, let's talk about what does not seem to promote resilience. Stress can really hijack your brain. It can really grab your attention. You ever try to avoid thinking about the thing you're stressed about? Try to distract yourself, even suppress the thought or image of whatever is stressing. Well, to highlight that idea, I'd like all of you, please, now to think about anything you want. Think about anything you want, but not a white bear. Think about anything you want, but not a white bear. Go ahead. How'd that go? Did trying to suppress the image work? Generally speaking, suppression is not an effective strategy. While white bear might not be a stressful image for you, it highlights the point that when we try not to think about something, it brings our attention more to that very thing. So, if suppression isn't a good strategy, how can we become more resilient? Well, here's what we know about resilient individuals. It's associated with certain personality traits and factors. Resilient individuals are more likely to experience positive affects, so things like happiness, joy, pleasure, contentment. They're also less likely to experience negative emotions, like anxiety, fear, sadness, moodiness, and jealousy. Resilient individuals are open to new experiences, outgoing. They embrace challenges. Resilient individuals are also socially connected and integrated. So, to be more resilient, just be happy and have lots of friends. not that simple. And like most things in life, the answer is more nuanced than that. So how do we become more resilient? The science on training resilience is still relatively young. But if we look to what we know makes up resilient individuals, it can point us in some important directions. Let's take the example of a high school senior. She signed up for a challenging math class. She joins the debate team. She volunteers at a homeless shelter in her community. And she asks someone out to the prom. Any and all of those experiences can lead to meaningful and to growth and more meaningful experiences. It can lead to positive emotions. And it can also lead to new social connections and relationships. She can improve her math skills. She can win the debate competition. She can feel pride at giving back to her community. And she can build a new relationship. And each and every one of those things can result in mistakes and disappointments, failure, even rejection. She fails in that class, loses the debate competition, is turned down by her potential candidate, feels overwhelmed at the state of things in her community. However, even those undesirable outcomes provide her the opportunity to learn how to rebound and recover better from stress, and therefore promote resilience. While I didn't think about this while I was growing up, my first model for resilience was my father. My father was a Holocaust survivor, and he spent 4 years of his life in concentration camps doing slave labor. He was the only member of his family to survive. My father sort of demonstrated the ultimate ability to rebound and recover from extraordinary circumstances. He found passion in starting a family after he immigrated to the US, found dedication and commitment to his career as an engineer. He never missed an opportunity to be out on a tennis court with his buddies. And his off-color humor was his example of positivity. So we see an example of a high school senior, and we see an example of my father, how facing life's challenges and pursuing meaning can help promote resilience. For most of us, modifying what we do to pursue more meaning means changing something about our behavior. It also means finding the time to do it. Now, I'm in the behavior change business, essentially, and it's not the easiest thing to do. So here are 2 things to keep in mind when it comes to behavior change. Slow and gradual behavior change is more likely to succeed and last. Often, when we try to undertake behavior change, it seems too overwhelming a task, and we shortly fail and give up. How many of you think flossing after each meal is good? How many of you make the time to floss after each meal? Some hands dropped. So, for those of you that want to improve your flossing behavior, and to highlight this idea of slow and gradual change, I want all of you to floss 1 tooth tonight. Anyone can floss a tooth. Now, I'm not saying the idea here is to have the healthiest molar in the history of dentistry, but rather that it highlights the idea that when we commit to a manageable behavior change, it makes it more likely that we'll do it. And then once we start, more likely we'll go on to the next tooth and the next tooth. Let's start with just 1. Second thing that's important when it comes to behavior change is compassion. Be compassionate to yourself. Don't be self-critical. Behavior change is more likely to be effective if you take that stance. How many of you think daily exercise is important? How many of you exercise daily? All right. Well, exercise is actually a great way to promote resilience. It can help you manage emotions, helps improve cognition, helps your body heal and recover. But usually undertaking an exercise regimen can seem daunting. Many people either don't start or give up shortly after starting. Then gradually change and try the 5-minute rule. Do any kind of exercise for 5 minutes. So it won't have you running a marathon tomorrow, but it can have you walking around the block. And this is the crucial part. When you change your behavior, And when you slip up in changing your behavior and you miss that walk, be compassionate. Go easy on yourself. If you're self-critical, you're more likely to feel down, and as a result, you're going to be less likely to think you can actually change yourself, change your behavior. Try a stance of being compassionate. So when you miss that walk or that exercise, excuse yourself and see that you might be more likely to rebound the next day and go on that walk. And if you are doing that, you are rebounding and recovering and promoting resilience. Do you know what astronauts say is one of the most helpful things they do for managing stress when they're up in space? They look at Earth and they take photos of it. Now, is it that looking at our planet actually reduces stress? Well, it's certainly relaxing, but more importantly, it allows them to engage in something meaningful. And when they're engaged in something meaningful, that can help them move beyond a particularly challenging day. Engaging in something meaningful can help them move beyond a conflict for the time being that they might have had with a coworker. It's a subtle but important distinction. That doing something for the joy it brings, as opposed to it lowering your stress, can allow your attention to focus more on the meaningful pursuit. And the more your attention is on a meaningful pursuit, the less it is focused on stressors, like weight. So, I encourage all of you to find your paths to resilience through meaningful pursuits. It can be meditation, photography, learning a new language, engaging in your community more. And as you go on your own missions to Mars, whether that's navigating the 405 in traffic, doing your homework, trying to improve your health or your relationships, my message to you is to welcome stress. Take on the challenges of your life. Learn from your mistakes. Be compassionate to yourself and to others. Rebound from failure and enjoy your accomplishments. Thank you.
All right, what do we think? Good. Okay. Did he drop some gems for you all? Okay, what were your takeaways?
I'm too self-critical.
Okay.
I judge myself.
Okay. Self-awareness is key. We'll take it. Any other gems?
Behavior changes slow.
Okay. Absolutely. Other gems? All righty. So what I want us to do moving forward is to learn to implement self-care, even if it is at a smaller scale, right? So we kind of talked about, walking or going to the gym and, not necessarily running a marathon after the fact, but slow progress is still some progress. And so I want us to be able to commit to practicing self-care on the daily, whether that's, using the 4 Bs, whether that's getting out in nature, whether that is sleeping 8 hours, whether that is having dinner with friends or family, and not beating ourselves up when we don't necessarily get to practice that, okay? And so what other meaningful pursuits have you or can we engage in?
I think staying focused on your goals.
Okay.
And do it steps at a time, just a little bit at a time, don't overwhelm yourself with too much.
Yeah.
Because then you lose your focus.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Any other meaningful pursuits?
I have the opportunity to walk a labyrinth this week.
Okay.
It was very helpful.
Awesome.
I try to combine exercise with social connections. So I
Okay.
go on a lot of walks with friends where we get to talk and catch up, but we're
Absolutely.
also being physically active.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I like the quote from the Dalai Lama there about compassion.
Yeah,
And compassion for yourself first and then others.
absolutely. Because again, we can't pour from a half empty glass, right? Like we have to be in a space to be able to help others.
I know I put my exercise on my calendar.
Okay.
Because, so making a commitment to showing up at a certain place where I'm with other people who are exercising has helped me over the years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
The buddy system, you
Okay.
get to the gym.
Yes.
That makes it a lot easier.
Accountability partner.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, have we heard of the 8 dimensions of wellness? 8 dimensions of wellness. So I believe you also have this handout in your, in what I've supplied for everyone. If you don't have one, I'm happy to make copies before I head out. Okay, so we have emotional, right? We have the physical, which we talked about, creating a buddy system to get to the gym. We have the social piece, socially going with your friends to the gym to make it a win-win for everybody. Occupational, financial, environmental, spiritual, and then intellectual. And then let me ask you this, is anyone in here active 3 days out of the week? Okay.
What do you mean active?
Like physically active. Okay. And how do you think that that supports your mental?
It's huge.
Okay.
It's really stress relief.
Yeah.
It makes me physically able to do things I wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Absolutely.
It keeps my blood pressure down. It's really helpful.
And do you notice a difference when you don't work out, say 3 times a week, or say you don't work out at all that week?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the difference for you?
I feel more sluggish.
Okay.
My joints hurt more.
Okay.
As I get older, I notice that my muscle strength diminishes really quickly if I don't keep up activity.
Yeah. And so I know we talked about creativity. Do you find ways to express yourself creatively? Okay. Any other creative ways?
Music.
Music, cooking, knitting, okay. Any other ways?
Take photos.
Photos, yes, photography. Photography? Painting, absolutely. They're all creative. Ooh. Art show coming soon. And then do you feel like you live and work in a safe and healthy environment? And if not, how can we create a safe and healthy environment? Yes.
I have a friend who lives in a neighborhood, she doesn't feel comfortable going out for a walk or a run, so she
Okay.
ended up buying, like a walking machine for indoors.
Okay, like a walking pad?
Yeah, like a
Ooh.
walking, yeah.
Awesome. And then let me ask you this. Are you all intentional about how you are spending your time? Okay. And if not, how do we create intentionality?
Write it on the calendar.
Okay, calendar. Yeah, somebody else said calendar. Anything else?
I try to be, but I find myself vegging out in front of the TV at night.
Okay.
Kind of sometimes too much.
But that's intentional.
It's not. Sure. It's like, I just kind of wind up there. And I'm like,
Kind of just a list. It's
Okay.
something that you have to check off,
Okay.
but it's sort of it's what I'd like to get.
I'm with her on that. I don't really keep a calendar.
Okay.
I do what I can do.
Okay.
It's nothing is so important that I have to do it right now. Except for my bills, but,
Yeah.
whatever the priority is for the day, I'll do it. If I don't feel like doing something else, I won't do it. I have to be able to do the government better. Cut the grass.
I'm better in the morning than at night.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
exactly.
Coming from the corporate world where there's 1,000 things that are due yesterday. And
Yesterday, you mean last week?
transitioning to retirement, I still have that pressure. Oh, I gotta get all these things done, I gotta get these things done, and sometimes it's just the energy's not there.
Yeah.
And it's a practice for me to let that go.
Absolutely.
It's one of the great joys of my life to be able to postpone something from today until tomorrow.
Which is what we call intentional self-care.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so you all should have a handout that is neon color. It could be green, not green, can't see today, orange, yellow. And so I want you all this week, if you have the capacity, well, I want us to be intentional about just reviewing this, right? So it's looking at burnout, it's looking at what our stress relievers are, it's looking at people you can reach out to for support, as well as helpful reminders. So no, we might not have calendars, however, maybe we could be a little bit more intentional about self-care and maybe create an action plan. And then once we create an action plan, maybe we can create action plans in other areas of our life. So maybe this will trickle over to something else. And then also the 8 dimensions of wellness should be in your packet. So you feel free to go back and look so that you can see what tomorrow could look like. And life is about creating balance, right? Like we talked about coming from the corporate world and retiring and what that looks like now, where we talk about binge TV at night and maybe not walking, 30 minutes, but just walking 5 minutes. It's creating balance. And so life is all about balance. You don't always need to be getting stuff done. Sometimes it's perfectly okay and absolutely necessary to shut down, kick back, and do nothing. So I guess shout out to retirement life. Kick back and do nothing.
It's easy to think about now, but thinking back to when I was working all the time, raising a child,
Yeah.
and trying to keep a house together. I think, these all sounded great at that point in my life, but I just couldn't.
Absolutely.
Do it to the same degree.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get to the gym. I couldn't do the things that I had to do all the time. So sometimes it's a matter of just doing something small.
And giving yourself compassion, right? Because no, we can't do it all. However, even if we do 2 minutes of this, 2 minutes of that, or no minutes of this, and we'll try again tomorrow. I thought about it. That's all that matters. And I might not be able to actually do it, but it's on my radar. And so again, we're called to serve, embracing hope and uncertainty. So from today, please feel free to shout out, what are some things that we have learned?
Small steps are okay and good and should be celebrated.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also that we don't have to be perfect, and that we're allowed to make mistakes, and you have to forgive yourself for those mistakes. But, that's a learning experience, and you say, okay, I'll never do that again, because you're self-aware.
Yeah.
You can bounce back from messes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The stress can be useful because you can fail. It's okay to fail, and then you get stressed out. That's how you grow, by bouncing back from it. Everybody's gonna have stress.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where you use it, or you can use it for your own growth.
How do we turn something that's perceived as negative into a positive?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do we feel right now? In this moment, how do we feel? You said blessed? Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Hopeful. You said thoughtful? Thoughtful, yeah. Any other feelings out there?
Relaxed.
We'll take it. I'm sorry, what'd you say? Grateful, yes. And so now moving forward, what are we going to do to implement self-care, to practice self-care, to practice compassion? What are we going to do?
Have a plan.
Okay.
Stay focused on your plan.
Absolutely.
And then the small steps.
Ooh, and then let me ask you this. What happens when you don't reach the goals of that plan?
Well, you forgive yourself and just think again.
Yeah.
Reiterate what your plans are. And
Absolutely.
maybe have a different plan system.
Yeah.
If it didn't work the first time, try something else.
Absolutely. Showing
Stay
compassion.
resilient.
Yeah. Showing compassion, as you mentioned earlier.
Should we be grateful for the failure as well?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. Because then how do we learn from those failures, and how do we know what to do next?
Right, because learn something.
Yes.
You can move on, hopefully, unless you let it.
Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow's another day. Any other things that we could do?
I think is about staying positive, and negativity takes more energy, whereas positivity brings energy. And, you know, I'm still working and I'm overloaded, but I'm just taking, I only could do so much. But thank God I have a supportive boss who understands about health and things like that. And there's not a lot of pressure, so I can work at my own pace. And I'm better at pacing myself because otherwise I make mistakes when trying to really have to do stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What if you feel like you're just in a corner and you're so stressed and even thinking about doing any of these things is too much, and that's when you
immediately
the place that you work for is.
Yes. Have therapy. We have supportive systems, friends, family.
This all sounds wonderful and nice, but what about when it's so much? You know that.
So typically workplaces have like EAP. So it's a place for you to kind of, you know, talk through whatever stresses may be. That can be home, that could be work, that could be financial, that could literally be anything. So those opportunities are in place to go to when you have nowhere else to go, or, you know, church or any other, you know, mental health agency that can support. I know there are a lot within the Oak Park community, River Forest community. So
people flip out, you see it all.
Well, there's a therapist you talk to, there's anything about medication. Really severely depressed.
Absolutely.
Anxiety, which will kind of really help.
Jeff, I guess one of the things I keep learning is the bigger the change I need to make, the smaller the steps I need to take to get there. And so sometimes just putting it into my thought process is enough for start. And then trying it out once, not setting up a routine, but trying it out once is a step.
We'll take it. Well, that actually concludes my presentation for today. Thank you all for being present. I hope you were able to get something out of this. If you need anything, I will leave my contact information, or you can reach back out to Shanae or River Edge, and we're happy to support.
Thank you.